Hello, welcome to our Simulive presentation at Two-Way Alliance, How Technology Empowers Learners. My name is Sylvia Georgina Althoen, and I'm a senior lecturer and the director of language courses at Wayne State University. And when we submitted the proposal for this presentation, we certainly lived in a different world. It is amazing how since March, our world has changed. In a couple of weeks, we all had to rethink and quickly accept that technology was our only way to provide instruction. Some of us were more familiar with technology integration. Some had to quickly learn. And I think both teachers and students proved how resilient we are, how quickly we adapt and make the best out of the worst situation, such as this Simulive session prove it. Obviously, it hasn't been easy, but we all managed. And we took the needed leap to a better understanding of meaningful integration of technology within our classes. Well, when we envisioned this presentation, we were among the group of people who, for a while, had already relied and believed in the positive affordances of meaningful integration of technology in the classroom. We had some positive results that underline how important technology is for enhancing student learning, hence the two-way alliance. And here, let me introduce you my ally in this endeavor, Ms. Julia Hernandez, who graciously agreed to share her experience today with the technology integration that she had to endure in my classes. She will tell us how this integration helped her not only to ace the courses, but most importantly, to be now seen as the technological guru of her family, the go to person helping her grandchildren navigating the online and remote environments. You will hear more about her experiences later on in this presentation. She decided she agreed to record some of her input and comments. So I already apologize if some of the audio might not be perfect. Let's look at the outline of this presentation. We will discuss the advantages that I saw as a teacher in the courses where I meaningfully integrated technology. And Julia was kind to agree to share in person her projects and experience. And you will see one of her ThingLink projects and one of her VoiceThread projects, along with her comments on it. And then we'll conclude our presentation. So let me tell you what are the advantages of technology integration. By now, everybody knows them, right? But bear with me a little bit. Since I arrived at Wayne State, I have been exposed and introduced to innovative pedagogical ideas. Instead of the traditional papers and presentation, some of my colleagues were using online and interactive platforms such as ThinkLink and VoiceThread with very positive results. So I basically found the perfect environment and encouragement to experiment with emerging technologies and see what pedagogical affordances they offered. I was in the process of redesigning culture language classes curricula anyway, and so I decided to try some of these innovative tools. But to fully exploit these tools, it is necessary to follow a map with pedagogical needs clearly underlined and in sight. If we truly want to add pedagogical value, if we to our class, and if we really want to engage students, we need to be very selective and understanding exactly which tool are the best for our goals. And we all had to learn that in March this year, didn't we? There are so many incredibly useful tools out there. We cannot possibly use them all. And therefore, just having a clear idea of our pedagogical needs and learning outcomes, we make the choice to provide a meaningful learning for our students thanks to technology. So, well, the two platforms that I decided to work with were ThingLink and VoiceThread. Students responded positively, and today we would like to share our experience and results. So, Ms. Hernandez will shortly share her experience as a student using the two platforms, and she will explain how she engaged with the content thanks to the use of technology. In this slide, you see a summary of the positive outcomes from the perspective of students and instructors, hence the idea of an alliance. Those platforms allow students to be creative, interact with each other, and for a language class helps them speak, read, and write in the target language and have access to authentic material. The fact that they can work on material that they personally choose lowers the affective filters and gives them confidence. For us, it allows us to monitor their progress and how they are improving both in writing and speaking. And we can also see what kind of research skills they applied and how they really learn the material and the content. So let me show you some example of integration of technology in both language and culture courses that I offered. Mostly, I applied it to fulfill the plan instructional and assessment goals. And also, I would like to show you how students perceived a approach and reacted to it. So right now, I'm mostly using ThingLink in the Italian through film, Italian 2020, which is a mandatory course for majors and minors of Italian. It's elective and it is taught in Italian. And I also use it in the elective fully online course, Italian Fairy Tales, that is taught in English. So why ThingLink? Oh, well, obviously, to fulfill the learning outcomes of the course for both Italian 2020, Italian through film, and Italian 2991, Italian fairy tales. As I mentioned earlier, Italian 2020 is taught in Italian, while Italian 2991 is taught in English. ThinkLink allows students to become agents of their learning by leaving them the choice to research, read, and understand authentic Italian material, being written, audio, or video, along with the ability to produce written and oral descriptions and reflections on chosen cultural and linguistic material through the interactive and multimedia presentations that ThinkLink allows. So ThinkLink offers students an engaging, interactive, and creative way to work with the content and to demonstrate understanding of the study material. For the Italian 2020, the ThinkLink assignment asked them to find and write three interesting fun facts found in the film that they watched, two new cultural aspects, read an authentic Italian review and leave a comment, and do a summary video. And in the next slide, you will see Giulia's experiment and project. In the Italian fairy tale class, The students have to choose, they read every week a different variants of the same fairy tale, and they have to choose an image of their choice and respond to the tale in general. We will see some of their students of the Italian fairy tale course comments later on as we proceed. So, but let me now pass to Julia's project, ThingLink project. Again, this is a screencast, so it's a presentation within a presentation within a presentation, and the audio on the video is a little low in volume. But this is just to give you an idea on how the ThingLink works and how her project was finalized.
Now, let's see how Julia used ThingLink to complete one of the assignments. As you saw, the requirement was to have 3 interesting facts about the film, 2 new cultural information that they learned by watching the film. Then they had to search a review in Italian, read it, and then comment and decide and say why they chose the review and if they agree or disagreed with the review. To complete the assignment, they were supposed to record their own video with a comment on the film. And here it is, Julia talking about this scene and the film.
Ciao, oggi parlerò del film italiano Il postino con Mario Grossi. Mi è piaciuto questo film e lo consiglierei ad altri. Alcuni dei motivi perché mi è piaciuto sono la semplicità della recitazione di tutti gli attori. Mi è piaciuto anche la vita ordinaria della piccola città con le sue regole severe, come la zia di Beatrice, um, il Giorgio, il superiore dell'ufficio postale. E
I understand that the audio is really low here, but I wanted to give you an idea. But now we'll hear from Julia herself how she approached and what she thought of this ThinkLink project. And she will tell us a little more about herself too.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julia Hernandez. And before I start talking about ThingLink and VoiceThread, let me just give a little bit of background information. So I was born and partially raised between the United States and Mexico. And I did most of my primary education in Mexico. And then when I moved here to the States permanently, I did college. So for my primary education, I had pretty much little to no experience with technology, except for an electric typewriter, which is obsolete now. And depending on your age, many of you probably don't even know what that is. So fast forward to when I was in my 30s. Due to work, I needed to learn to use a computer, and I started using PowerPoint was one of my first experience, and I really enjoyed it, and I think that's why I stuck with it. I also did some data entry, and in pretty much all of my jobs, I've done some data entry and PowerPoints and presentations. But then in my 50s, I decided to learn a third language and I started taking Italian because why not, right? It's fun to learn another language. It's just fascinating to learn about the cultures. And so I stuck with it. I took my first class, and then many years later, I took my second class and stuck with it because I really enjoyed it. But I had no idea about, I believe it's called Kahoot and ThingLink, and then VoiceThread, and videotaping yourself on YouTube and uploading, and all of the technology that I had to learn with taking Italian. I'll be honest, some days I was like, do I really want to put myself through this at my age? But I enjoyed it. So I stuck with it and I started learning. So for my ThingLink presentation, I really enjoyed it because it allowed me to have a visual that guided my presentation. This was very important and beneficial because Italian, like I said, is not my native language. And as my brain had to do the code switching between changing languages, which is using those mechanics of keeping one language in your brain while it translates into the other language, it's time consuming. Not everybody has that ability to learn how to do that, and it wears you out. It really, really wears you out. So having that visual be, so for my presentation really allowed me to give my brain a little bit of a break because the image was right in front of me. And all I had to do was follow that map that I created on how to get from point A to point B and give my message in the class. If I had to do a paper on this, and a lot of people think that those softwares that are pretty common now are no big deal, and you really are not doing as much work as you would with paper, and that's not true. In reality, it takes quite a bit because you really have to learn how to use the software, but then you also have to make sense of it and present it in a way that makes sense to your teacher, your professors, and also the rest of the class. It it also involves a lot of research because just like any paper, you still have to research the movie. You don't just watch a movie. You have to understand the movie. You have to know what the movie is about. You have to know what the plot is about. You have to learn the language or understand the language enough to understand the movie, and then you have to put it all together. So it's like one big puzzle that you have to make sense of, and you start with little pieces, but then you add to it. Now, the video part also is very hard because you have to write a script for yourself, you have to understand what that script is, you have to follow the script, and you also have to practice. You have to practice this several times in order to get it correct and it look clean and professional. So it does involve quite a bit of work, but I highly recommend it. It is also a lot of fun. And for people that are creative, I mean, they can really go with this and just do a phenomenal job.
And
Hello,
now,
everybody.
and now let's see what other students had said about using ThinkLink. And you can see that they share most of the things that Julia just told us. But mostly they became more comfortable speaking in another language, uh, given more insight on the subject. They had to do more research and also to be a little more creative. So other students underline, yes, the challenges that Julia was underlining, but yet the beneficial part of being able to speak in Italian, to be more creative, and just use their own, the material they felt more comfortable and confident to share with the rest of the class. So now let's move to the other interactive tools that I use in my other cultural courses. Um, some of them in Italian. Italian 2020 is the Italian through film, as you just said. And another course is called A Path to Italy, Italian 3030, and that's also taught in Italian. And also I use VoiceThread in the fully online course, Italian Fairy Tale, where mostly students are using it as a digital storytelling tool. In Italian 3030, which will be the example and the project that Julia will present shortly, the students have a final project, a talk show, sorry, with a special guest. While in my Italian fairy tale classes, students have to narrate their own fairy tale. So VoiceThread allows them to create engaging digital stories by combining voice, video, and or text. And you see here briefly the advantages and learning outcomes achieved thanks to the digital storytelling through the students' project. So as instructors, throughout the semester, we can monitor the progress and the improvement in both writing and speaking abilities. And we also can observe their research and critical thinking skills. But now, let me have you see Julia's project. Let me show you Julia's project. Again, this is a screencast, so the audio might not be great, but I wanted you to show, I'm going to show you the whole project. It is about 3 minutes.
Now, let's see how Julia used VoiceThread to do her final project for a class. She decided to research spaghetti western and interviewed famous director Sergio Leone and the composer Ennio Morricone.
Buongiorno e benvenuto allo spettacolo da Giulia, che analizza il vecchio film. Il film di oggi è Il buono, il brutto e il cattivo. Abbiamo con noi il famoso regista italiano Sergio Leone e il maestro italiano compositore di musica Ennio Morricone. Il nostro spettacolo di oggi si concentra sugli aspetti del western italiano. Film con pochi dialoghi, grande musica che parla per il silenzio, grandi scene e naturalmente un regista meraviglioso che permette a tutti di fare il suo lavoro e che guida gli attori. Iniziamo con alcune domande per il signor Leone. Signor Leone, grazie per essere qui e benvenuto allo spettacolo di Giulia. È un piacere averla qui con noi stasera. Signor Leone, puoi dirmi perché ha smesso di fare il western?
Dico subito, io quando ho fatto Pugno di Dollari, subito dopo ho fatto per qualche dollaro in più e ho finito con, chiamiamola la trilogia, con Il buono, il brutto e il cattivo. Io dopo Il buono, il brutto e il cattivo non avrei voluto fare più western, perché avevo chiuso quel tipo di leggenda, quel tipo di storia e avrei voluto fare C'era una volta in America, che sto finendo adesso.
Puoi parlarci della caratteristica dei suoi film?
Penso che la caratteristica dei miei film sia
My films are basically silent films. The dialogue just adds wit.
il dialogo ha solamente un valore e ha un senso aforistico.
La seconda intervista di questa sera è con il maestro Ennio Morricone. Benvenuto maestro, è un piacere averla qui stasera con noi. Congratulazioni maestro, lunedì scorso lei ha vinto la consegna della medaglia di oro di Papa Francesco. Ed eccola qua con uno dei suoi 7 Oscars.
Again, the audio wasn't great, but just to give you an idea how Julia did the unthinkable, interviewing a departed director, and by then it was still alive, the now unfortunately departed composer Ennio Morricone. But here, let's hear from Julia herself about this project and how it allowed her to learn more about the genre of the spaghetti western.
So now I'm going to talk about voice thread. For this particular project, I pretended I had a show where I interviewed famous Italians. This particular show I have as guests the creators of the spaghetti western. The movie I picked to focus on is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because it's my favorite of the spaghetti westerns. In order to create this voice thread, I researched on YouTube old interviews of the director, Sergio Leone, and the composer, Ennio Morricone. After watching countless interviews, I found the question for the interview, or what I wanted to really focus on. And that was what is a spaghetti western and how is it that it was formed or put together? Particularly because this movie had actors who spoke different languages, and for example, in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the main characters speak English, but the rest of the actors spoke Spanish or Italian because this film was made in Spain and Italy. One fascinating aspect of this film is that it has long sequences where there is no dialogue or very little dialogue. That is where the composer fills in these silent scenes with the magic of his music, and the director guides with the magic of the camera angles. And the audience does not realize that actors are speaking different languages. Basically, what I am saying is that in order to create this voice thread, I researched interviews and then I edit them to the parts that focus on my question. And if I had to write a paper on this topic, I would not have enjoyed the project as much, and I doubt that I would have learned as much as I know on this topic. In the end, this particular voice thread has 14 slides when it was said and done. And one of the aspects I like about using VoiceThread is that you can not only use video, but you can also record yourself talking. You can type and make comments through voice recordings and written communication. You can highlight and it allows for others to interact with your work. So a lot of times when I would be using VoiceThread, Sylvia would make comments and then some of the students would make comments too, and I would make comments on their work. And we kind of, at the same time, we're learning of just what was happening and how did they do the different voice threads that the other students did, and if they had questions for me, then I was able to interact with them. And in these times that we're living right now, where we're relying on technology to uh, work and go to school, I think that using technology like VoiceThread, ThingLink, um, and other different types of technology that's coming up, I think it allows us to be creative and interact with one another and not feel so isolated and just working on our own.
So I would say that if you haven't tried it, you should. It's a lot of fun. And this particular one I like more just because you can use it in different ways.
Thank you, Julia. That was fantastic. One of the best projects ever. So original, so creative. That really was a pleasure to watch. So these are also three questions that I actually posed to students in my fairy tale class at the end of the course, where they had to use both ThingLink and VoiceThread. ThingLink every week for every tale they read, and VoiceThread for their final original digital storytelling. And as you can see, they all confirm what Julia just said, that it was fun, that the images helped them tell the story, and that it was rewarding to see that their creativity was appreciated by me, of course, their instructor, but also their classmates. And yes, they had challenges, but they overcame those challenges and felt empowered by that. So, to conclude this presentation, I would like to underline yet again that in order to learn with technology, students and teachers need to form an alliance, share responsibilities, and cooperate in constructing meaningful learning. Teachers should learn to coach and share the meaning of technology use in the classroom. Developing learning activities that use interactive technologies like ThingLink and VoiceThread, for example, give students meaningful learning experiences and help them to meet the instructional goals that also satisfy, as you can see here, many of the national educational technology standards and 21st century skills, as you can see in this slide. Most of the things that Julia and students achieve with this project fall into any of these six standards. Now, to conclude, I think it's only fit for a good alliance to let Julia conclude this presentation. We just hope that we have shown you how important it is to create an engaging learning environment where students are agents of their own learning. And we, as teachers, need to shift our roles from dispensing knowledge to helping and guiding students to create their own meaning. Thank you. And here is Julia's with her conclusions.
In conclusion, I have to say that from a student point of view, I found that the pedagogical value of using these tools in the study of learning another language has been very beneficial for me because I was learning in a fun way, which is the easiest way to learn a different language. In addition to this valuable learning opportunity, I am now the tech person in my household. So, for example, currently, three of the members in my family are taking an online art therapy Zoom session. Two of them on Saturdays at different times, and another one who works a crazy schedule throughout the week has to do his therapy at different days and times. And all of them need my help to log in and start their Zoom session. And then, in addition to this, also, my grandson, who is in second grade, uses Microsoft Teams for online schooling, and I help him when something goes wrong or he is having trouble with his tablet. So, overall, it just has allowed me to learn how to troubleshoot and figure out different things, and it's an ongoing process where I just continue to learn and enjoy the technology. Thank you.
Thank you all for your attention. This is a slide with some of the sources that I use for this presentation. And now, if you do have any questions, I'm here available to answer them.